Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
I went online to become a private detective. It was a private detective school online, and I paid online. I never heard from them again. I thought to myself, I either got ripped off, or this is my first case. This is a journalistic podcast, Shannon. We vaccinate our listeners with answers. And I'm going to keep lip-syncing the important questions until TikTok gives me a show. Shannon, how can the moon landing be real if the moon itself is fake?
That's not true, Mike.
Oh, isn't it true, Shannon? You're fake. You're a hologram.
1 in 5 New Yorkers are food insecure. What's your solution for that, Mike?
Fortune cookie. Because that's food and advice at the same time. Shannon, at least have the decency to backstab me, okay? You stab me in the front every time. Some fans can't watch the podcast because they're triggered by our sexuality. And message to those fans, we will leak a sex tape right into your mouth.
This is Mike Vecchione Investigates.
And you're not better than me. Welcome to another episode of Mike Vecchione Investigates. It's Mike Vecchione. Are you expecting somebody different? Because I'm here and I'm investigating and I'm off a fresh haircut today. You know, the time crunch was coming down. I had to be here at a certain time. And I said, sometimes I like to challenge myself, Shannon. And I go, let me get a quick haircut in. And let me do my own hair. And let me see if I mess it up, it's going to be catastrophic. But if I nail it, then I get to come on the podcast and really celebrate myself. And I think that's what I'm doing right now because the top was already pretty much done. I went high and tight on the sides, slight fade. I had to focus. I had to keep the clock in mind. And then I had to jump in the shower and then musk up with little Axe body spray, which is what's permeating the studio right now, Gas Digital. So thank you guys for joining us. Once in a while, we go international on this show. And you're like confused. Mike, what's international? Is that the same as national? No, it's not, fans. Okay? They're dim. They're dim. You guys are dim. I don't know why I'm talking about you like you're not here. International means all over the world. And the world is bigger than the country. It goes the world, the country, then maybe a state, then maybe your township. So it goes that way. Anyway, we do not look just for the finest comics in America. This next individual is a friend of mine. Met him from overseas. Reached out to me. I'm in New York for a couple days. Let's get together for lunch. And I thought to myself, and I'm thinking of you, the fans, forget lunch. Let's hash it out on this podcast. We'll have a turkey club later on. You can have a turkey club anytime you want. But let's get it in on this podcast. So I'm always thinking of opportunities, not just to sit with a friend, but also to capitalize for you, the viewer. So if you're at home and you can't get out of bed or you need a loofah to wash your back because you can't reach because you haven't been doing yoga and you're watching this, I'm going the extra mile for you. Very funny comedian, international act. Met him overseas, met him in China. Andy Curtin is here, everybody.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you.
You're welcome, man.
It's good to be here. I feel a bit of pressure representing the whole world.
You're representing the whole world. You're diverse, and that's a word that's being used right now in the media, and multicultural, because I met you in China.
It's funny because
you're Australian.
I often get introduced to things as like, this guy has come here from China, and I'm a white person.
Yes.
And it's not always the right note. It feels like I've appropriated someone's position as I've been introduced.
Well, it's what they're expecting. They're expecting a Chinese person.
Yeah.
And you're an Australian.
We can do it in Chinese if you want.
Yeah. Is China that much different from Australia? Talk to our fans. They haven't left the house.
It's becoming less and less so.
It's less and less so.
No, I mean, it's obviously very different. But it's funny,
It's a criminal. Do you embrace that?
Being a criminal?
Prison island.
Yeah.
I'll call you out on it. I have to call you out on it.
Americans love to mention the penal colony.
Right. It's because that's where you guys were formed. We were formed because we were brave, and we said, we threw the tea in the water, and we're like, no, England, no. And it's like, that's how we were formed. And you guys were formed as a penal. I like the way you said it, penal, and it's not dirty. Colony. And I love to mention it, and so do a lot of Americans. Defend yourself.
Well, I think we were brave as well. We just got caught.
Yes. You got caught.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I was, mate, great, whoever. Were you stealing bread or something? He went for it.
Right.
But, yeah.
It's always bread. It's never like watches or anything, right? You guys portray yourself as noble savages.
Well, there was someone, that's what they always say. Sorry, I've just got, my throat's no good today.
yeah.
They always say, oh, it was a piece of bread or,
Right.
stealing
You
to
needed
survive.
Right. Right.
And then you look in the history and they were like a horrible criminal.
Yes.
They like murdered people in
Yes.
their sleep or something.
I know. I mean, but it's more, you're going to gain more sympathy if you stick to that narrative that you were stealing bread.
Well, that's what everyone has to do is create a sense of oppression in their identity.
Right.
Because who's going to understand you if you're not oppressed?
Well, I mean, I do that with Italians. I'm Italian American, obviously.
So I'm hearing victim.
I'm a victim of gluten. I'm a victim of gluten. There's gluten just riddling our food. It's in our food, and it's like it's poisoning us. And that's where I come out on it. And the fans really sympathize with me on that. And so you were in China. Now, is that where they send you when you screw up in Australia? You have to go to China? How did you end up in China?
I think it's more if you fail.
Penal to penal?
Yeah. It was
Double penal, which might be the name of the episode, Shannon?
It was there's definitely some sort of a transfer made. Right. I think you have to fail in your own country to decide to go to China is the benchmark. But yeah, I don't know.
Did they trade you for somebody? It's like what we're doing with...
How funny is that? Like
maybe they sent a spy back.
I'm curious what value I would be equated
What's your
to.
value?
I don't know. Maybe at least like some sort of a financial criminal, at least.
I love the fact that you have that's how you know your value, when you know what they will trade for you.
Yeah, but you're clearly equal to another criminal, but
Right.
how valuable is the crime that other person has committed?
Right. And how good at negotiation is your country?
I mean,
versus
imagine-
China's great at negotiating.
They're pretty solid.
Yeah.
But how good it would be for your self-esteem if they were like, we're bringing you back and we're sending someone who's killed 10 people.
Right. That's great for your self-esteem.
That'd be sunshine
Yeah.
after that.
But that didn't happen, did it, Andy?
No, I think it was just some kid.
It was probably just some kid.
I think it was a box full of T-shirts with like fake Nike logos on them.
You got traded down.
Yeah. Well, maybe up. Who knows?
Okay. So born in Australia, what brought you to China?
I graduated from university during the financial crisis.
Right.
And went a lot of jobs. And when you come from Australia, you're so far away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, in my head, I was like, if I look back at my life, I would have lived overseas. I want to go live overseas. And so I graduated and I thought, well, if I don't have
Finance degree?
I did law.
Oh, you had a law degree.
Yeah. But I was like, I had a job, but I didn't want to do it. It wasn't a good job. And I thought, if I can't go now, when I have no commitments whatsoever, when would I ever be able to go? And I just felt this. I was like, you got to get out.
Were you already doing comedy at the time?
No.
Okay.
Which is Melbourne's a big comedy city.
Yeah, it's great. I heard that.
But I'd not dabbled.
I was in Sydney though because I had more money.
Yeah,
I'm like upper crust.
all right.
Melbourne is like poor.
We're richer in culture.
That's what all poor people say though.
They do actually. That's exactly.
I actually
what they
had
say.
more physical money, so I had to stay in Sydney with the upper echelons.
Sydney's the LA,
Yes.
and Melbourne's the New York.
Yes.
So
I
think about
find
what
it-
you're saying right now.
Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking all over it.
I don't have any great beef with Sydney, but anyway, yeah. So I just
Sounds like you don't love them.
I'm not a fan.
I'll be honest with you.
I don't have the shirt.
Do you guys have inter-country squabbles the way that we do?
Yeah, but it's not serious. It's very. If it's anything, it's Melbourne, Sydney a little bit, and then Australia and New Zealand.
Australia hates New Zealand. New Zealand.
Hate is a strong.
No, it's a strong.
Because to hate someone,
Right.
like on some level, you have to respect them as an equal.
I guess you can find something positive in everything.
Yeah, but whereas New Zealand is just like there's more sheep in Auckland than people.
Auckland?
Yeah,
What's that?
the biggest city in New Zealand.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but you know why?
Why?
Because it's a terrible place.
Because of the sheep population.
so small.
But I bet it's really easy to sleep there. You can count as many sheep. Get the jokes, please. At home, get them. Please get them.
That's why Mike earns the big bucks.
I mean, these people have to be educated.
Yeah.
They don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
If I don't know it, the fans certainly don't know.
I read about it earlier today.
But there's not. Does it go one way or the other way? It's like you guys are kind of like, oh, you guys are nothing to us, and they actively don't like you guys because it's like the big brother.
Oh, absolutely.
Big
Yeah.
brother.
Well, the one crime that we do commit, aside from stealing bread,
Yeah.
is that if anyone is from New Zealand becomes successful, we're like, oh no, they're Australian.
Oh, you take them. That's what we
Like
do
all these
over here.
people you think are famous Australians, like 30% of them are actually from New Zealand.
Wow. You guys do that. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like the best boxer, like one of the best boxers, Manny Pacquiao. It's like, oh, he's us. He's American. He's American. It's like he's Filipino.
Yeah.
But we just, anybody who's good, we take under
Or
our
like a
umbrella.
champion badminton player from Australia, Wen Jiabao. He's the best player we have.
He's you guys.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So you decided to pick up, you had a law, you're downplaying your law degree. You're very intelligent.
I mean, I
How
don't
do you
know.
explain your intelligence? Explain it to fans that can't read.
If you were able to read,
Yeah.
you would have intelligence. So
Right.
it's that thing you don't have, and that's why you can't read.
You're really coming at our fans.
I feel like
it.
I feel like we're just.
No, I really like it. I really like it.
feel
They
like
need tough.
I
We
like
love them.
you.
We love them, but they need tough love.
Of the
Andy,
limited things I know about you, it's-
Andy, they need tough love. Don't
Yeah.
apologize for them. That maybe they'll pick up a book next
read a book.
time.
Read a book.
And and maybe get a law degree at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
You got a law degree.
Yeah, the world
But
doesn't.
that's
need,
not 4. That's not 4 years. Like that's 4 years, and then you went to law school.
dude. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I actually got a law degree and an engineering degree.
At the same time.
Yeah, it took 7.5 years.
Oh my God. A law degree and an engineering.
But I just didn't know.
And you guys don't have one degree. How does that make you feel? Get a close up on me, Shannon. I want to talk to the fans. And you guys don't have one degree. And you guys couldn't make it through high school. It's like, oh, this is too hard. And Andy has 2 degrees. And I'm saying it slow so that you guys can really just feel it. Feel what he's saying. 7.5 years he did in order to get those degrees. And then he took all of it and gave it up and just went to China. He threw his degree into the great ocean and just went to China.
Maybe they're still in high school.
No. They dropped out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they dropped out.
All right. Well, I was trying to throw him a bone.
It's pretty sad.
But
what's happening
if it's
here.
any consolation, I did nothing after that. Like I really threw it down the toilet.
Okay, but you have it.
For a
And
minute.
it's to fall back on in
Yeah.
case you ever needed it.
Yeah.
And I could tell from just being with you in China, you're highly intelligent. You're high functioning. You're very high functioning.
I feel like you're implying I'm not one of your listeners.
You're not one of my listeners. You're not typical.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably the smartest listener I have. If
I'm
you do
an
listen to this.
typical Mike listener.
Atypical. An atypical, Shannon, can we look that up? Our fans are dim. What's atypical? Is it like 2 words? Atypical or atypical?
And atypical.
An atypical. N-A.
We're really looking it up. There we go.
Not representative of a type.
Yeah, that's
So not typical.
That's the first thing they teach you in law school, actually.
What is it?
Atypical.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't remember anything else, though.
I thought objection. Did they teach
Objection.
you how to object?
They don't.
I object.
They don't. Well, you're a different system to us, but
Yeah.
they don't teach you how to be in court.
What's the difference between your system and our system?
Do you want me to get into it just very quickly?
Just give me one line.
Well,
why it's
but you know when you
guilty till proven innocent?
No, but you know when you see like in television in Britain or whatever, they're wearing the wigs.
Yes.
Like that's a whole different thing. They're called barristers.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
Sounds like that sounds like a coffee machine.
Yeah, they make great coffee.
A barrister. Barrister?
It's very similar. Yeah,
Okay.
and so they got the sheep. They got all the sheep from New Zealand on their head, and they got to learn to be in court.
But when you graduate from law school, did they give you a wig? Because that would be a great graduation gift. Everybody gets a wig.
I tried to steal one, but no, they're pretty funky. Actually, they're made from real horsehair.
I bet they are.
Yeah, they're really, truthfully.
I bet they take it real serious. Except the ones in New Zealand are made from sheep, probably.
I'm not even sure they have a legal system in New Zealand.
Do you think it's just anarchy?
I think the prime minister or whatever is a sheep.
He is a sheep. That'd be
She,
great.
Or they, I don't know how they identify.
They. This is a pronoun debacle now.
It is. You got to be careful.
And you got your law degree, and your family must have been super proud.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They didn't mention it to me.
They didn't mention it to you?
It didn't come up.
Are you guys stoic like the Irish in terms of like not expressing your emotions?
Well, we're Irish. That's our background. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're Irish Australian. There was a lot of Italian Australians when I went over.
Huge. There's more
Lebanese.
There's more Italians in Sydney than every city outside of Rome.
Wow.
It's true.
That's a stat that you just pulled. Is that true?
It's true.
Because you could be saying it to me.
I mean,
and I'll
look,
just believe you.
I didn't count myself,
Right.
but that is a quote unquote well-known fact.
Wow.
And
There's a lot. Why are there so many Italians?
I mean, there was gold. You know, like when people came to California for gold,
Right.
we had gold, and it brought a lot of people for that. So there's a lot of like communities from around the world. There's a lot of Chinese people early on, and Italians, and you know.
This is the route I thought you were going to go with Italians. You were going to go, it's a penal colony. Italians are born criminals. It would stand to reason that there's more Italians in our land, in our penal colony, because of their oily, greasy skin and questionable ethics.
You're really making me rethink the word penal.
Penal is a great word.
Because I love any word that sounds dirty and isn't.
Yes.
You know?
It's not dirty at all.
No.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite, actually. Well, it depends on the crime, but, you know. It's certainly
depends on the crime.
It's certainly not what one's mind immediately races to when you hear that word, especially if you don't know it.
And let's look it up, Shannon, and maybe we can use it in
I don't know if you should Google
later.
penal. Just be careful on the spelling.
Yeah, be careful, Shannon. For once. All right, guys, I want to take a second to talk about our friends over at RockAuto.com. Ever have a friend that has a guy? Nobody can find something, but your friend has a guy? Well, I've got your guy for auto parts. It's RockAuto.com. RockAuto.com is like your guy, except it's an organization. It's an organization that provides you quality auto parts for rock bottom low prices. They've been in business for 20 years, and while every other business in this country might be raising prices or low on stock, when it comes to auto parts, you've got a guy, and that guy is RockAuto.com. And they're not kidding when they're raising prices everywhere. I was in Texas for a gig, and I was at a resort. I got a Caesar salad. Caesar salad's $13, Shannon, 35 cents to make, $13. And they're just price gouging. It's a 4,000% markup. I actually went to the internet and went to the internet's calculator, and they do have one, Shannon, and I looked it up. 4,000% markup. But our friends over at RockAuto.com don't do that. They keep it close to the vest. They're working class people, and they look out for the working class. I'm telling you, RockAuto.com has the parts you need in stock at reliably low prices. I'm sorry I'm raising my voice. I'm just excited about RockAuto.com and all the selection and prices. If you've got a used car, it's probably appreciated in value. That means gone up. Our fans are dim. It's appreciated. The car market is hot, which is why now is the time to keep your car well maintained. It feels good knowing you're driving a reliable car, and RockAuto.com makes it easy with every part you need at low prices. A lot of our fans, Shannon, you know, they don't have reliable cars. They got clunkers, I think is what the kids are calling them now. And they need to go to RockAuto.com and get parts to improve their car. They need reliable transportation. If you're going to have a job, and I'm talking to the fans right now, you need reliable transportation. You can't just live in your mother's basement for the rest of your life. You need a car, and you need parts for the car. And those parts can be found at RockAuto.com. They're your guy. So go out to RockAuto.com. If you're looking for auto parts, Rock Auto is your guy. And let them know we sent you by checkout. Yell at them. I'm just kidding. You don't have to yell at them. You don't have to yell this podcast, even though you guys are screaming it on the streets. I know you are. Fastest rising podcast on the Gas Digital Network. There's a box to put in our show name. Please give us credit. We want you to give us credit. We want you to have great auto parts at low prices, but we also are huge on credit here. All three of us on the show, Natalie, Shannon, and myself, we all are narcissists, and we need credit. Once more, that's rockauto.com for all of your auto parts you need at amazing prices. Get the auto parts at rockauto.com. Give us the credit. We love you. And that's rockauto.com. All right, guys, let's get back into it. Punishment. Penal is punishment of offenders under the legal system. A penal colony, a punishment colony. A punishable offense. God, that's pretty great.
I feel we're just learning so much today.
Learning is a big part of this podcast, Andy. It's investigations, but it's also we have to teach as we investigate. So you went to China. What happened when you went to China? You're a white. You're a, I hope it's not breaking news. You are a white, and you are Australian, and you're in China. How were you received?
You know, it was a really, I didn't know this, but I was like arriving at a moment in history.
Right.
Where the country had been closed for decades and decades and decades and was really starting to open up. And when I got there, they had the Shanghai World Expo and, you know, people were just, you could travel and people had never seen foreigners before. I've had people confuse me as Japanese because they just knew I wasn't local.
Wow, that's awesome. And it was a closed country because it was communist, but now there's some kind of they're a totalitarian capitalist regime. Like
I don't think they have any association with communism.
It's the state. It's the state basically running it.
Honestly, I think the best description is it's a mafia state.
It's a mafia state.
Which is an expression. It's
an expression in terms of like, let's break it down for our fans, whereas it's the government just kind of awards contracts and gives its friends whatever jobs.
Yeah, it's about who's got the power and who can do whatever they want, really. You know.
Right. Wow. So it went from the idea of a communist state to that.
Yeah.
To a totalitarian.
But don't they all? Is there any example of a successful communist state anywhere?
No, I don't think so.
They're all the same.
Right.
I mean, it's particularly bad.
Yeah.
They were successful in their badness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's funny because like now there seems to be some sort of a trend in. I've heard in the US where young people are like, oh, I'm a communist.
Right.
And I'm just, forget about it being like wildly offensive. It's just like, man.
Yeah.
How could you read
anybody from coming from a communist regime hears that, they flip. They lose it. I mean, they're all.
Well, unfortunately, the truth is that like in the same way that if you follow a bad guy who's a politician and you buy into it, people buy into it. A lot of people buy into it.
Well, they buy into I was always taught growing up, the system of communism is it's not a functional, it doesn't work. But in theory, it's nice that everybody gets the same and everybody gets to live equally, this whole idea of equality. But it doesn't track, it doesn't function because it doesn't take into account what an actual human being is.
Forget about that.
I don't want to forget about it. I think I made a great point.
Yeah, well, we can agree to disagree.
Let's cut this all out, Shannon. I don't like.
We're going down a black hole of communism here.
Andy, go ahead. Set me straight. You have 2 degrees.
I just think it's like, it's the problem is you just always have someone who's got so much power and then power corrupts and then they just don't do the right thing. So it doesn't matter what.
Right. So what I said was that they don't take it to what an actual human being is.
But like I thought you were saying like there's something wrong in the theory. But
no. The theory is great, but like humans don't function that way.
No,
their power, they're going to be corrupted.
Oh,
by
absolutely.
Power.
Yeah. God, Mike, I didn't appreciate what you were saying.
Well, I mean, we're back. Often that happens with me where someone goes, no, you're batshit crazy. You're just a crazy. And then I explain it and they go, yeah, you know, you're a good dude. You're okay.
How?
And I think we had a come to Jesus moment just now. I think it's what Oprah says in her. She says, I've come to Jesus moment.
I've heard that. What does that mean?
That means like a realization that like what we just had. Where you were like, Mike, you're crazy and you're stupid and then I explained it and you were like, Mike, this is unbelievable. I misinterpreted what you were saying.
I had to come.
And that happens a lot with me. And then you look under your chair and it's like, my book. That's Oprah. That's how she usually caps it. I don't have a book
yet,
but I am working on it. Working on a lot of projects for the fans. So you were received over in China, Andy, complete the sentence because you're so smart and you're hitting us on all levels and our fans can't digest it. So it's like gluten. They can't, it's screwing up their system.
Making them
celiac.
They're bloated.
And they have celiac and they can't digest it. It's overloading them. Okay. Your double degree. So you were received in China how? They were thinking that they'd never seen whites before?
Well, in Shanghai, they had. You know.
Shanghai's a great city.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you could go anywhere that they'd never seen. But I'm just saying it wasn't hard to meet people that had never met foreigners before, of any kind, anyone non-Chinese. Right? It was like blocked off as for decades. But I think that overall people were curious and interested in the outside world, and you were something new and different, and there was mostly pretty well received at that time.
What's the difference in the philosophy of the country versus our philosophy over here? We're so like big on our freedoms and our individual liberties, and over there, is it more about the collective? Like, what's people's psychology over there?
It's funny because people always talk about cultural differences, and for me, I think they're mostly not real. Not mostly like what the typical ones. Like, so for example, people love to say, "Oh, Chinese people don't like losing face." Right. You ever hear that?
Yes.
But it's
I prefer to call it saving face, which is the opposite.
Sure.
It's positive.
Yeah, they like saving face.
I like saving face.
But I mean, you boil it down. It was like, do you think foreigners like to be embarrassed? Nobody likes to be humiliated. It's not a cultural difference. And I think fundamentally, people really have the same basic priorities of wanting to be a part of look after their family, if they like their family, or want to be a part of a group, if they like their group or whatever. But there are some subtle cultural differences. Like, I think that in the West, we really prize individualism.
Yes.
Like, it's cool to be a bit different.
Yeah.
Whereas fitting in is a lot more. But as soon as I say that, you can easily find examples of where people like to fit in here. And there's like people from Boston, in my experience, are quite different from people from like South Carolina that I've met. Anyway, I think there's cultural differences across America.
Right. But do you think that do you think that in China they're more like their general philosophy is like country-wise is more about the collective? It's more about instead of like an individual rights.
I think it is, but I think it's becoming more, people are more entrenched here in whatever they consider their collective to be. Mm-hmm. They're thinking more like Chinese people in that way, but the difference is that they haven't had competing groups within the country because one group has just silenced everybody else.
Right.
All right. So when one group controls the whole narrative, you're either with that narrative. There's no second narrative really to be a part of that you can communicate with people about, because I couldn't even message you something on my phone that they didn't want me to message you.
I know it sounds bad, what I'm about to say, but I actually kind of like that. If I was the one in control.
Yeah,
like, that's a big
if.
It's a big if, but just on this podcast. Like, if Shannon messages Natalie and goes, did you bring cookies for the podcast today? And I want to be in on that. I want to make sure I know that Natalie and Shannon are on the same page, or if Shannon has a beef with Natalie because she's new and the women are competing because they're in a small glass case that I keep them in for not misogyny reasons, but for just because I don't know who I'm going to have in here and who's dangerous and who's not, who might be leering at them, which is an assault now. So it's like, I want control. Do you find that sometimes? Like, you are like, I would love to be in control.
Do I want to control the entire country of China? I think I'd rather just be on a beach.
And would you want to control that beach? Everybody take their clothes off. Now it's a nude beach because you're in charge.
I want to see who's on the beach before I tell everyone to take their clothes off.
Why don't you let them take their clothes off and just have freedom? And then stop being anti-judging people. Oh, it's like you...
I want the freedom to judge. Why are you taking away my ability to judge?
I'm taking it... God, you one-up me. It's that law degree. I don't have that extra
Objection.
Gear. I don't have that extra gear. Or a wig.
All right.
And I don't have a wig either. God, I want a wig.
I tell you what I would like as a power is like the judges when they get to say, I'll allow it.
Yes.
That's a great power.
That is a great one.
Because
it's not just the saying I'll allow it, it's the couple of seconds where everybody's kind of like, is he going to allow it?
But you're the one that determines what's allowed. That's phenomenal.
Right.
That's godlike power.
And you're not going to allow people with bad bodies on your beach. Is that what you're saying? I would not want you as a dictator if you're going to be that way.
You make it sound like I'm fat shaming people.
You're just an exclusive guy, and you're high level, and it's like everybody else on your beach has to be high level. What about the turtles? We should get rid of them too?
The fact that I, at some point, at some questionable university, got a degree doesn't mean that I would look good naked on a beach. Let's not conflate those two ideas.
I think you're sexier than you're giving yourself credit for, and I think our fans are aroused. I'll just say it.
I think it's your haircut.
It's my haircut. It's my haircut. I'm doing my job and arousing the fans, and you're also doing your job from a different, a multicultural, a different culture.
It is funny to be like...
Is it ha-ha funny or is it peculiar? Our fans can't tell the difference.
It's questionably funny.
Questionably
But
funny.
I've become the spokesperson for the most populated planet on Earth.
Yeah.
You know, and it's I don't know if I'm the right guy for that.
Well, now that I have you here and you are the spokesperson for the planet, global warming.
I'm all
Yeah,
for it.
defend it. Defend it, dude. We're all going to be underwater.
Well,
And it's because of you, maybe your policies.
here's what you got to understand is that I am from Australia.
Yeah.
This smoke break is brought to you by YoDelta.com, the official Getting High sponsor of the Gas Digital Network.
We're in the middle of winter right now. It's not a good time for we want a little bit more global warming right now. It's been pretty
You
cold.
guys want more global
It's
warming.
a little cold. I'll be honest with you. It was freezing, like actually water freezing the other day. It's too much. No one should have to live through that.
What about it's so hot that all the glaciers, which I learned to say on a couple podcasts ago, the glaciers are melting. Polar bears have nowhere to live and nowhere to mate. Do you want them having sex in your bed? Because I don't. You don't ever think about these things, Andy? Such a high level of intelligence, and you never think about where the polar bears are going to mate.
Just the idea of polar bears mating is
Yes.
already terrifying to me. Do polar bears really have them? Do they really need the ice though? I mean, can't they be on rock or something?
No, they need to be cold. And the fact of the matter is that glaciers melt. It's twofold, which is something that smart people say. It's a two-pronged approach. And they have nowhere to mate, and they're going to be in our apartments, and we're all going to be underwater. I mean, there's going to be less and less land, and we're all going to have to like get along with each other even better, and that's not happening.
No.
Because it's going to be less land, and we're going to be closer together. Like in Iowa is going to be New York. We're going to be all on top of each other.
Our getting along to land ratio is already pretty low. Mm-hmm. If we lower the denominator in that equation,
Right.
we're going to be in some serious trouble.
But you want to have a warm winter. Don't you think that's a little bit selfish, Andy?
Warm, but maybe can I say less cold?
Less cold. I think you're just using words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
To communicate?
Well,
Sure.
no, not to manipulate, I would say. You're manipulating our climate problem with your high intellectual words. Manipulate. I'm sorry, Andy. This is getting unpleasant, but I have to call you out on stuff. It's an investigatory podcast.
It's funny because like everyone has
Funny
these,
how?
Everyone has these. I say that too much. You're right.
No, you don't say it too much. Explain it to our fans. They don't know if you're being funny, ha-ha funny, or if it's peculiar.
I'm not being funny at all. I'm being peculiar.
Shoot straight with them.
I'm shooting.
Okay.
No, I just, everyone's got an opinion about the weather and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you listen to something and I just think, oh man, I hope that one's not true. You know?
Yeah.
And so there's been Europe's just been obliterated by heat this summer.
By heat.
Did you know that?
Yeah, but I thought you said hate.
No, heat.
Okay, heat.
Heat.
Hey, there's the difference.
I have an accent.
Okay.
Don't discriminate.
I'm not discriminating. I'm just trying for clarity.
Maybe just a little. And they're telling us, they're like, 6 months, Australia, get ready.
Yeah.
You're going to cook.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know if that's scientifically proven, but boy, I hope that's not true.
If this was Game of Thrones, would Australia be the wildlings?
I never watched it.
You never watched it?
No. I know there was the ice face man,
Yeah.
some dragons,
There were some dragons.
and a lot of boobs. That's my level
Yes.
of knowledge about.
There was gratuitous sexual contact on that show. In Australia, I found that they get really upset if you make boomerang jokes just because it's hacky. So they get very upset. And do you think that that's going to swing around and bite them in the ass?
That's going to come. Was that the joke that you
That
made?
was the joke.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I thought it was pretty good, and they didn't like it.
Did you really?
I got a bad write-up in Sydney. It's like, this guy.
Oi!
Oof. I got a bad write-up.
That's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
I was for a second there. I was like, maybe people do have an issue with boomerang jokes.
I think
Because
they
it's
don't like it there. They don't like any of the stereotypical the stereotypes of we have of Australia.
Well, I think the problem that you'll run into with boomerangs is that it's an Aboriginal cultural product,
Right.
You know, so I don't know.
Well, we don't know the history of it. We just gloss over everything here.
Yeah.
So we don't really know the deep-rooted cultural history of it.
That's the extent that I know it.
Yeah.
But I think you could be seen as a white person mocking it. Maybe.
Yes. Damn it. White person.
The worst. Did we ever do anything right?
I don't know. You seem to have done a lot right, Andy. 2 degrees, unbelievable life, career, and you introduced me to maca tea, actually.
Oh,
I was
really?
at your
That was
apartment.
great. Yeah.
You brought me into your dojo. I don't know if you guys call that in China. But I was there. It's Japanese. But you made me some maca tea, in addition to a bunch of other stuff. We hung out in Shanghai a little bit. And that room in Shanghai is unbelievable. A rooftop bar, maybe the best rooftop bar I've ever been to.
It was
I know
pretty
that
cool.
place closed down like shortly afterwards, I heard.
Not shortly after.
By the government.
Well, we got shut down, but then they let a Chinese group take it over. So it was a Chinese comedy club for a long time,
Wow.
for a couple of years, but it recently got shut down.
Because they said something. It was against the government.
I don't know why the most recent problem had,
Mm-hmm.
but it might have just been a venue thing, you know.
Right. 32 minutes in, I think we're nailing it, guys. Andy Curtin is here, international superstar. And he's educating you guys and educating me. And we're having a little bit of fun. But right now, Shannon, you're going to love me for this. Let's go to plugs. You can find me, MikeVecchione.com, on all, not all. You can find me on the internet. It's this new thing called the internet, MikeVecchione.com for my dates, at Comic Mike V on all social media platforms. And Shannon and I got new cards made. So it's pretty great. I'm going to be going to overseas, actually, Andy, again, for the troops, though, the American troops, in Italy, Turkey, Portugal, and then I'm spending some time in Rome.
You guys have troops in Italy?
Yeah.
Wow.
We have troops all over the place, buddy.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Didn't
I'm
know
just
either.
letting you know again
Just to
that we
remind-
got
It sounds
troops
like
everywhere.
It sounds like a threat.
It is a threat. Did you hear my tone change?
I did.
I want you to know I'm putting, it's not a threat, it's what the kids are calling it now. I'm putting you on notice. And if you want me to go further, I'll put you on blast. It's like we have troops everywhere. And so I will be overseas, and I just got new cards made, Shannon. So get ready for the podcast to explode, because I'll be giving my cards to everyone. And I'm not shy about it. I'm giving my cards out, and it's got a thing to my, not my link tree, but my direct me, which is a more colorful link tree. And it's going to give everybody access to this podcast, because my voice will not be silenced. And so new cards, I got new cards made, which is very exciting. So at Comic Mike V, check my dates, MikeVecchione.com. New hour should be out soon. Hopefully soon.
Have you recorded it?
Recorded it in Nashville, Tennessee.
Congratulations, man. That's
Thank you, Andy.
huge.
Thank you. It's good, and I'm at the tail end of editing it now, and in association with Nate Bargatze, he directed it, an 800-pound gorilla. So hopefully, I don't know what platform it will be out on. We're going to try to sell it, but hopefully look for it. And I'll be on the road, and please continue to support your boy and this podcast, Mike Vecchione Investigates. Thank you for the 5-star ratings and reviews. Continue to review us positively, please. And also the 9 p.m. Monday YouTube premiere, which is how most people watch podcasts now. Shannon, I don't know if you know that on YouTube. I heard that on YouTube. Okay, so that's me. Andy, what do you have? What do you want to tell the people? Do you have any dates? Anything coming up?
No, I'm not really. I'm not performing these days, actually. So
No, you're off?
yeah, just COVID kind of knocked me out of the game a little
Right.
bit. So just working these days.
Gotcha.
And I don't know. You can look up my Instagram, Andy Curtin.
Andy's amazing. He's probably got a great Instagram with a lot of different places.
Yeah, I took a photo of my bagel this morning. It's pretty good.
My God.
Yeah, it's high level stuff.
Is that
you'll
you-
never have seen what you can find on my Instagram.
Did you warn people that there's a lot of gluten in this picture?
Oh, it's
It's a war on gluten.
Warning, Instagram account may cause bloating and skin rash. I don't know. What do they suffer from?
Well, I appreciate you coming on here. Shannon, what do you got?
You can follow me on Instagram at ShannonLee6982. Listen to my podcast, The Thing Is. Ding, we talk about bad dates, fighting, and ghosts. Wherever you listen to Mike Vecchione Investigates, you can also watch it live for free every single Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern at gasdigitalnetwork.com/live. That's absolutely for free. But the best way to support the show is to go to gasdigitalnetwork.com, use promo code MVI. That will give you a 1-week free trial. You can take part in the live chat, get the episode sooner, and you have access to every single episode of this show and every single show on the Gas Digital Network. Also, if you've been thinking about joining for a while but haven't, the prices will be going up in September. So if you join right now, you are locked in at the current price and it will never raise. And this is the last time that's going to happen. So now's the time to do it. If you listen on iTunes or YouTube, make sure to rate, review, tell a friend, leave a comment. Any sort of engagement helps the show. If you have your own video investigation to submit, send it in to MikeVecchioneInvestigates@gmail.com and go to podcastmerch.com for t-shirts, hoodies, and mugs. And that's it.
All right. Well, that's plugs. And Andy, we got to get into some news articles and some topics. I hope you're going to use your high-level intelligence and your international expertise to break this down. Let's go to the first one, Shannon. This is a big one, so I'm desperate to hear what Andy has to say about this. What the Jetsons predicted right and wrong about the future. There's a whole article about the Jetsons. Apparently, yesterday was the day that George Jetson was supposedly born. The Jetsons was a cartoon, for those of you living under a asteroid. The Jetsons was a cartoon in the 60s. I was watching it in my childhood, and it was about a family in the future. And this, according to the cartoon, George Jetson was supposed to be born yesterday in 2022. Do you have the article, Shannon?
Yes. So,
okay, go ahead.
It's
Break it down to us, and then me and Andy will respond.
Okay, so since his birthday was supposed to be yesterday, it says that means we're supposed to be only 40 years away from the Jetsons world of Rosie the Robot, toothbrushing machines, and apartment buildings high up in the clouds.
Okay, well, a toothbrushing machine is not that far off because, Andy, do you have an electric toothbrush?
I don't, but I'm aware of them.
Yeah.
I have awareness of them.
Why? What's your resistance?
I don't know. It's a bit weird. I'm old school, you know?
Yeah.
I don't like change.
Right.
But my wife is a huge fan.
I love them too. I'm on your wife's side on this one. Not to put a dent in your marriage. I'm sure it's great, but I think your wife is onto something here. And almost when I don't have access to an electric toothbrush, I almost just don't want to brush my teeth. I go, let a robot do it. I'm not going to do it myself. Let a robot take care of it.
We can't be too far off the robot game though, right? Like, I mean, we're already being served by robots to an extent.
As it should be.
And have you seen, like, Elon Musk's got this kind of Android that he's working on?
No, I've been his personal life has been I've been caught up in all that. He has 10 kids.
His gigantic nipples.
10 kids, and he does have gigantic nipples on a boat.
Huge.
But no one's going to tell him that. The richest guy?
I mean,
would you tell him?
I would, but he won't listen.
Yeah, well, you would get fired immediately, probably.
I don't know.
And you would have to go back to your nude beach that you're not going to let anybody disrobe on.
I tell you what the Jetsons didn't predict.
What?
Like, do you remember what the robot looked like?
Mm-mm.
She was very much like boxy.
Yes.
And like, it wasn't really trying to look like a human at all.
No, I think that's an accurate depiction of, have you seen women lately? They're kind of boxy. They're kind of robot-y and boxy. And, but she was the maid, right? And flying cars. How close are we to flying cars, do you think?
I think that's a little further away.
You think?
I like driverless cars. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's get there first.
Right.
I'm fascinated by driverless cars.
So am I, because I'm more fascinated with what it's going to do to the economy. All these people are going to be out of work.
I read this statistic. They're just crazy numbers. There were two of them. The first one was that like 30% of downtown traffic, or like city traffic, not just downtown like here, but like city traffic, is people looking for parking.
I would agree with that.
But that's insane. Like, if you reduce that, you can just totally change.
You want me to blow your mind? I was in a cab coming home, and there's all kinds of taxes. We're really high taxes here.
Yeah.
And it was going through the price of the cab, the bridge, or whatever, and then all kinds of taxes. And then they had $2.50 congestion fee.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's like, so you're charging me. I'm stuck in traffic, and then you're charging me for it on top of it.
It's because the driver had a blocked nose.
He had a blocked nose.
Bit of congestion.
Andy,
keep up, Mike. Keep up.
Sucker punch.
Fast game.
You sucker punched me. But that was great, yeah. But I can't believe. Maybe it was COVID related. Congestion fee.
Might be. You never know.
God, they required us to wear masks for so long. But I think the fact that I am sitting in traffic and they're charging me on top of it. Then if you park illegally, then they hit you with a parking ticket and they charge you for that. Or if you go to pay to park, it's like $15 an hour to park. It's like there's no way to win except flying cars, which the Jetsons nailed.
I don't know that they're going to be cheap. I don't know that there's going to be there'll be a cloud fee.
Right.
There'll be
there's going to be a different
turbulence fee.
Turbulence, a stratosphere, a troposphere.
Doesn't strike me as being a cheap game. The old flying cars.
And there's nowhere to park in the sky.
We don't even have flying skateboards.
No, we don't.
We're very deficient in the flying space.
Well, we're scooter orientated. There's a lot of scooters.
Plenty of scooters. I feel like, you ever seen those things where it's like a wheel with two little paddles on the side of it?
Yeah.
That's pretty futuristic to me. First time I saw one of those, I was like, oh boy, we are. And that's kind of what the robot in the Jetsons was on. Because I'm pretty sure she had like a single wheel.
Right. Yeah, that's right. She did have a single wheel, which is more efficient.
She's just leaning.
Yeah, that's her.
There you go.
You're right.
Maybe
She
not,
is boxy.
not a single wheel, but very cylindrical maybe.
Yeah.
Why do they put dials for her eyes?
I don't think they want it too human. They don't want it too human because then guys will try to sleep with the maid.
Okay. So, because there's a thing where the wife's like, you can't have an attractive
nanny.
Right. So, do you reckon they'll have to give like a spectrum of voluptuousness of these robot cleaners?
Yeah. And I think there'll be a dial on the back. It's like flirty to not flirty to immediately flirt. You know what I mean? They'll have.
Starts out that like, I will clean the bathroom.
Right.
He gets up
and no one wants to deal with that every day.
It gets up to like, hey guy.
Yes.
How was your day?
Yes.
You look tired.
Right. We all love that.
That was my sexy voice in case anyone wasn't.
I think the fans are aroused.
I also I lost my voice the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm like clawing it back, you know?
How did you lose it? Yelling at a woman? I'm trying to set you up. Misogyny?
It was a robot woman.
Oh, it was a robot woman.
It was a boxy looking regular woman.
Okay. It was okay. I'm just trying to get you canceled.
Oh, I'm doing a fair game of that myself.
I'm just trying. Anytime there's certain spots in the podcast where I will set you up to try to cancel yourself. And if you take the bait, then you take the bait.
I'm a big bait taker.
You are.
I'm described on my. I describe myself as bait hungry. I'm a bait.
Not thirsty.
I'm a bait enthusiast.
Are you thirsty?
No, I'm all right. I mean, if you're offering.
No, thirsty is a term on It's I don't know. The kids are using it on. Instagram.
I've heard. Was it thirst trap?
Thirst trap. Thirsty.
Yeah. Showing a bit of skin. I don't. My wife is
because they want attention so bad.
My wife is Russian, and she watches all these like Love Island in this.
Yeah.
And she speaks English, but she's still picking up new phrases. But like I don't know the new phrases.
Right.
And she's dropping them into. We're chatting. You know. I guess vibing is a thing they say.
Vibing is a thing. Thanks for bringing that up.
She can't say V.
She can't say it.
Russian.
You don't. Oh, I thought you don't allow her.
So well, I've banned her from several letters. It's very challenging to communicate. Which I woke in the other day. She goes, "Hey babe, are we vibing?"
That's really great.
I was like, "What?"
That's really great.
It took us like 10 minutes to figure out what she was trying to say.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know that word.
You need a translator. You need Google Translator.
Yeah. We need a robot.
You need a robot. You need the Jetsons.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that the Jetsons got right, Shannon?
Okay, first thing, it says to 1960s audiences, the Jetsons video phone, a big piece of hardware, whose staticky screen gives way to an image of the person trying to reach you seems like a dream. In 2022, we outdid that tech without even realizing it, and we're already sick of it. Skype came along in the early 2000s, FaceTime followed in 2010, and thanks to the pandemic, we all have video chat trauma. Even the name Zoom does sound kind of Jetson-y.
Yes.
That's great.
That's great.
It's so freaky when like fictional entertainment is predictive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because people are just thinking about it. They're like, would it be cool to have interface with somebody on a screen?
Well, like it's almost cliche now, but if you go back and there's two books, one that everyone talks about, George Orwell, 1984, and the other one is Aldous Huxley, A Brave New World. They're horrifyingly predictive of the way society would go.
Right. Well, our fans don't really. You lost them at books.
There is a movie about it. I'm pretty sure.
Comic books.
There's some
Maybe
cartoons.
Yes, for them, they're more picture based. My audience.
Yeah.
Their reading stuff is like challenging for them.
It must be so hard for them to pick the episodes on your phone.
No, they have them. They know how to do that. Their little fingers know how to do that. They know how to
I
string.
love how they not only they're stupid, but they have like deficient hand finger length. They're like
We don't say stupid on this podcast, Andy. They're a little bit dim, but they have great hearts and they're very loyal.
They're not stupid. They're intelligence limited.
They're limited. We don't even like to say intelligence because the intelligent people know what we're talking about and we don't want to insult them. Limited.
I find out so much about culture from watching comedy shows because I don't listen to anything else.
Right.
And like the other day, someone was talking about like you can't say homeless anymore.
No.
Was that an angle or is that a real thing?
It's a real thing. Can't say it because it offends the home.
What is that? Home deficient or something? What do they say?
It's what is it called, Shannon? It's something like that. It's home deficient. Home
People without housing or people without homes.
Right. What is how
people
is that?
without housing.
Oh no. Yeah.
How? Wait. What? I'm so like. Is it because a home is like an emotional thing? You don't want to remind that it's just a house that they
You don't want to remind them that they don't have a home. Homeless is negative. What's the phrase that people use now, Shannon?
I also see unhoused.
Unhoused. Right.
Unhoused. I don't know what the difference is really, but the
other one is
to
like
everyone else.
Someone called out. I had someone get called out the other day for using the word junkie. Junkie's not allowed.
Junkie. It's like calling someone a bum.
Is bum not allowed?
Bum's not allowed either.
Bum, not to their face.
Bum was a long time ago. That was out. Junkie. I don't know what it's called now. Drug addicted, not junkie.
I feel like drug addicted sounds worse.
Drug addicted does sound worse.
Because junkie,
but it sounds kind of like more romantic-y than junkie. Junkie sounds like a name call. But like I name called you.
They do junk.
I'm into junk.
Yeah.
You're a junkie. I don't know.
That was tangential.
You just blew our fans. You just blew them away. They're shutting us off right now. I hope you know. Tangential. I get it. What did the Jetsons get wrong, Shannon?
Oh, there's a couple more right things.
Other than they got right.
They got right. List them.
Okay, so the other one is, so it says, while sassy robot maids like Rosie aren't hitting the market, but we do have cleaning help in the form of Roombas.
The Roomba.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like a Roomba with a little bit of a personality?
I'd like one with at least some tits.
Something. Or someone with a shirt that says, don't threaten me with a good time. Right? Something, a little bit of personality when you're cleaning the floor and you're also scaring the cat. Is that an extra bonus?
Yes.
That the Roomba scares your dog or cat?
Yeah, I think you got to pay extra for it to do that.
Yeah, because it's time for your dog or cat to man up and not let some robot who just showed up kind of run the house.
No. You should be like, it's an extra benefit because you can make TikTok videos out of your cat getting freaked out and and get 1 million views. Isn't it depressing that you spend all these like decades becoming a good comedian?
Yeah.
And then you work really hard and you write jokes and you write a special.
Right.
And you'll never get as close as a cat fucking being surprised by a Roomba on TikTok. Like that is the virality of that content. Let's have a moment.
I mean, you really made a good point, and I'm letting the depression sink in. I'm letting the depression sink in.
I'm like, if only this joke could be as close.
No, I want to be on your side, and I want to be outraged, because I'm one of the comedians that you're talking about.
No, it's
But
anyone. It's anyone.
It's anyone, but
Joe Rogan
but
doesn't
a
get
dog-
cat Roomba hits.
A cat being scared by a Roomba. Shannon, can we bring it up? Andy makes a great point. Let's just see how entertaining a cat being scared by a
mass
Roomba
pile-up.
actually is. I mean, a cat being scared by a Roomba, it just, we say it and it doesn't give it, there's not much energy in what we're saying.
Oh, but doesn't it
if
lead the
you
imagination?
If you look at it, it blows you away, I think.
Yeah, you can even just have a cat sitting on a Roomba getting a ride. That's
A
already,
cat sitting on a Roomba thinking it's a seat, and then it starts moving.
and then we're off to the
and
races.
Then the cat just loses it.
That's it. That is what entertainment is. You know?
It is.
All this-
Watching a cat spiral because they're not sure of what a robot is fantastic.
Are we watching it?
We're going to watch it.
I'm looking through it. None of these are particularly funny, but I'll give it a shot. Here's one.
Okay, that just looks like bullying, Shannon.
Yeah.
That just looks like
I-
bullying.
I
it's
hope-
too slow. The Roomba is too slow.
But,
in
okay,
that
so
one.
that sucked, right?
Yeah.
That sucked. Do you know? Can you see how many views were on that?
It's not a lot. 408 views.
Oh, there's that's where you're going wrong.
Here's
No, I saw one with a cat. Like, you know, the cats do that thing where they just jump vertically.
Yes.
And
This
it
one
was-
has over 1 million views.
There you
Okay.
go. Here we go. Santy's in trouble. What language is that?
Okay, well, they don't look. The cats look mildly uncomfortable, but they don't look stunned by it. They're not
thought they made
shocked. Okay, now there. There's something. There's something with.
I feel like I've taken us down a regrettable rabbit hole.
Yeah, that cat is too comfortable with the Roomba. That cat's too comfortable
And I
with
feel
it.
that cat's about to get impregnated by the
Yeah,
Roomba.
the cat and the Roomba. look
That'll
like
be
they're
the future. We're going to see some Roombas with cat ears.
a pet that also vacuums. Andy, I think you're onto something.
Push the cat on the-
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
That is
That's
content, baby.
That's content. That's the view.
Forget about your Netflix, whatever.
Yes, that's
content.
beating us. That's
Yeah.
beating us, and that deserves to be beating us. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
but there's no, I don't know. There's no debt. There's no.
Andy, I'm gonna take it once in a while.
pull me out of this hole.
I want.
Push this into.
No, I want to one up you, and I'm gonna have to do that. Don't you hate people where you're telling a story and they just one up you with a bigger, like even if it's not true? I recently saw it. I'm just remembering this. It's Shannon. I want you to look this up because this was in the paper. Groundhog
Newspaper.
It was in the newspaper, which is what I still read. Groundhog steals farmer's food and eats it in front of a surveillance
I saw
camera.
it, and it was amazing.
Unbelievable.
It was so good. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is beating me, and it deserves to be. It's unbelievable.
I love it. I love it.
This groundhog, because they're supposed to be.
Can I?
Well, first of
here
all,
we go. There's,
So cocky. He's stealing the farmer's
there's
food.
something about the teeth.
God,
The
there
te-
is something about the teeth. He's looking right into the camera, and it's just so arrogant. I
Yeah.
just love it.
Yeah.
And this guy's assessing the damage of his garden.
Been different. More stuff was gone. I would have big giant tomatoes. We'd take a chunk out of it and then move to the next one.
But, like,
I love that this guy's testimonial because I hate him so much.
Yeah.
Identify, what it was early on, but I really couldn't find it.
Like,
Yeah, cut back to it.
this guy's getting 10 times a Chappelle special
Yeah.
with just a
look, and it's this
groundhog.
out of nowhere, just popped right up.
The way he pops up, the way he
The
pops up,
movement, the
God.
chewing, it's all like,
it's just glorious.
yeah.
Staring, like right into the camera.
Staring right into the camera.
Food from the garden.
Oh, and the other animals, but the groundhog I think is the best one.
Yeah.
But he always parks in the same spot and always just staring.
And he just sits up.
Just looks at the reflection or what. It came a little bit like I was like looking forward to it. He was really cool.
It is
The way He
amazing.
was going about every day,
He's just sitting.
seeing his character.
He's,
It only took
His
about a
character?
week or so for him to win my heart over.
he's a thief.
Wow, this guy is awesome. He can have whatever he wants.
That is
Give
so
him his
funny.
space and just let him do his thing.
A little bit of jazz music as well.
Take like a chunk out of the tomato. I was like, all right, I'm going to call him Chunk.
Oh,
I've
my
learned
God.
a lot about him. He's under the shed. It's perfect because it's so close to the garden. Favorite stuff are carrots and tomatoes.
Endless
The
entertainment.
The better. So
Someone needs to give that the Groundhog.
He needs a show.
Yeah.
He needs a development deal. Shannon, cut it off. I can't stand any more cuteness on this. That's unbelievable.
That was pretty cute.
I mean, that's pretty great.
It's almost as good as your new haircut.
Well, thank you for saying that, Andy. I was waiting for you to compliment me.
If you want to just wrap up the final things that they got right, we also have Jetsons flat screen TVs, cameras that can look inside your body, and drones that dot the sky.
I
Wait.
just got a colonoscopy.
Did they not have cameras that can look inside your body? Oh, I guess like a camera. I'm thinking X-rays, right? They didn't have cameras.
something
back
that
then.
would look inside.
Which episode of Jetsons was that?
It was the
Like-
colonoscopy episode.
This episode of the Jetsons, George is looking for his keys.
Wouldn't it be great at the end of that Groundhog video if just he gets shot?
Yeah, the
And
guy
that would be a
comes out
cliff
and says,
ending. Just
never
shoots-
again.
he just shoots
Never
him.
again.
He shoots him and leaves him there as a message to the other groundhogs.
I
and
mean,
the
they
other
killed
critters.
him, right? Isn't that what people do on farms? They kill animals?
I mean, I'm sure he did this for the look how cute he is, but then functionally he's like, I can't have this. This can't keep going, so I have to shoot him.
Yeah.
And then they should also tape that execution.
That is so funny. I'm just thinking the Jetsons. I'm so curious what they got wrong because one thing I remember was they had the like a conveyor belt kind of thing. It's like
Yes.
like in the future you don't want to walk around your own house.
Right.
You're just like how fat would the Jetsons be if that's actually
That's true.
how they moved
Flying everywhere.
internally
Yeah.
in a house? Like forget about I'm not going to walk to the store. Like
Right.
I'm not even walking to the couch.
Well, in the beginning credits, it's like he drops Elroy off at the elementary school. He drops his daughter off at the high school. And then he goes to the mall. And what he does is he pulls out money to give to his wife. And instead of taking the money, the wife takes the wallet and goes. So I guess some things are the same in the future.
Yeah. Except for the money.
So anyway, that's the Jetsons. They had a lot right and a lot wrong.
I'm surprised if it was the 60s and that we were still watching it like 20 years later.
Yeah, we were
That's
watching
quite
it in the
incredible.
80s. It was pretty great.
That's quite incredible.
And it was a good show.
Yeah, I remember liking it.
I
I'm
remember
shocked to hear it's that old, actually.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. Let's go to another article. Flashy New York City bishop robbed of $1 million reenacts jewelry heist at service. He got robbed. He's a flashy bishop, and I don't know where this was. This is in New York, I think. Was it in New York?
Brooklyn, yeah.
It's in Brooklyn. Okay, so he's a flashy bishop, and he gets robbed during the service. They come in, and they're live streaming the service. And the guys come in with masks and tell everybody to get on the ground, and they take all the money. And these guys are actually comfortable with going to hell.
I was just going to say.
Because they just
clearly it's not someone who's part of the church.
No.
None of them believe
They go,
in
but there's a
God.
lot of money there. This guy's a well-known bishop. So they rob him, and it's all done live stream. Probably got more views than the...
Yeah, I was going to say, that's good content. Right?
yeah,
Oh,
it's-
wow.
it's
Look at this
okay.
guy.
Yes,
What you about to go through? Yo.
he flashy.
All right. All right. Yo, all right.
I mean, they're eerily calm. They're eerily calm.
This is insane.
Yeah, you're robbing a church.
By the way, I feel like he should have spent a little bit more on the church and a little less on his jewelry. His jewelry is worth more than the church.
Yeah.
Look at that room. It just looks like
I mean, this guy's just chilling over here.
so funny.
I mean, these guys, wow.
do you know what would be
How
funny?
calm are they?
It would have been funny if, like, after you put it all up, he turned around and went,
Yeah, I was gonna say that if he made the sign of the cross,
Sign of the
Andy
cross.
made the sign of the cross or genuflect, showing respect, and then you come into confession next week. And
Yeah.
you go, I robbed the church, and then he has to forgive you. It's a catch.
that's the rule.
He has to
Not allowed
forgive
to
you.
tell anyone.
No,
No, and has to forgive you.
and he has to forgive you.
Go use some Hail Marys. Get out of here. You know.
But you just give them endless number of Hail Marys, like you have to do with
You have
5
to-
million
8
Hail Marys.
million.
That's where you punish him, and then if he really wants forgiveness, he has to do that. So that's the original heist, And then the bishop reenacted it at the next service. He reenacted the heist.
I have some pictures of it, but I'm going to have to look for the video because it's not in this article.
Can you read the article? What's the Why did he do it, Shannon? Why did he reenact the heist?
So it says the Gucci-loving Brooklyn bishop robbed during a live stream service bizarrely reenacted the crime at his prayer meeting on Sunday, including by hitting the floor as if taking cover again. He said, I need you to get... Hold on. Okay, yeah. He said, I need you to get back in the position when them 3 men came in here with them guns out. I got to get back into position. And then he made a whoosh sound and stepped behind his podium. As I began to preach, I saw the door open, and I looked and I said, okay. The bishop, who denied Friday that the sensational crime was part of any purported insurance scam, added, as I got down on the floor, I told the church, y'all get out. That's when he splayed his body out on the floor for dramatic effect, according to the video captured by the Post.
Okay, so they're saying that he might have set the whole thing up for insurance purposes.
Yeah.
That's what I assumed.
Oh no, I thought it was a real robbery.
I mean, look at the guy. Look at him. Look at the photo right there. Look at this guy. Can we just back up the truck here? Like, I don't know what comes to mind when you think of a church, right?
Yeah.
They're fancy buildings. They're expensive buildings.
Yes.
This guy's clothing is clearly worth more than the entire church.
Yes.
He's got like
Gucci.
a $2
Gucci
sign
Yeah.
of the church on the back.
Right.
Like,
But what's your problem, Andy? It's like, don't you think that God likes Gucci? Spend less on the building, more on your own clothes.
well, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
He by the way, he also told his congregants on Sunday that God would bring him back double what he lost, likening himself to the Bible's King David when David faced off with the
Goliath.
Amalekites, and saw his wives captured. Don't think that God allows somebody to come here and steal something from him, not to give us double. That is what the Bible says.
You know, you know what's real sketchy about that?
What's sketchy, Andy?
The people he's telling are the ones that are going to give him that.
Yes. He's kind of like doing a subliminal thing where it's like, you're going to give me double. You're going to give me
back
double
so
back.
much. You know, that's
How are they going to prevent this in the future?
He's probably going to do it again.
That's his Rolls Royce.
Oh
my God.
It's crazy.
That Rolls Royce is pretty sweet.
I'm in the wrong game.
He's also, I think the church is in Canarsie, so it's
Right.
like these are not rich congregants.
No.
Look at this, it's like a storefront church, and all of that.
That's
money
right,
that he
yeah.
has. It's
That's what Andy was saying. He was
Yeah.
saying it's a low budget church, but I mean
and
the
he's got a
Rolls Royce.
$500,000 car.
Yeah, you need a fancy car to drive away from a low level church.
There's something like, I'm always like impressed on some level by just egregiousness.
Yeah, me
You
too.
know, like you're like, how could you look someone in the eye wearing a Gucci suit that they've given you money for,
Yeah.
and been like, you're gonna give me 4 times as much money as I had before.
yes.
So and they just eat it up.
He's also
Yeah.
the target of a lawsuit by one of his parishioners who claims that he swindled her out of $90,000 of her
my
life savings in
God.
2020.
Swindled her out of 90,000.
It's a current lawsuit. Yeah.
But was it for God?
Yes, of course it was for God.
Okay. Well, there's the explanation.
God works
Your
in
Honor.
mysterious ways.
God does work in mysterious ways, and I think he should be allowed to have a Gucci suit, and he should be allowed to have a Rolls Royce. I mean, there's no laws against that, you know.
I think the Gucci suit.
There's no in certain sects of Christianity, like in Catholicism.
Did you say
the
sex?
Sects.
Okay. Let's get that
don't
up on
get
the-
excited,
Let's get
Andy.
the dictionary up.
Yeah, let's get the dictionary out.
In certain sects.
In certain sects of religions, like for example, Catholicism, the priest is supposed to take a vow of poverty, but not in this sect.
No, they missed that one. He skipped
No,
over.
yeah, this isn't a vow of poverty. This is a vow of opulence. I'm going to be more baller than everybody who comes
Yeah,
in this church.
it's not even like there's a real spectrum between vow of poverty and Gucci suit and a Rolls Royce.
Yes.
You could be like, you know,
But if you're gonna
like
not
just
have a vow-
regular suit.
No, but if you're
and
going to have not going to have a vow of poverty, if you're not going to have a vow of poverty,
Might as
you
well
might
go
as
hard.
well go hard. Yeah.
Sure.
Go hard. And show everybody what they could be living.
Yeah.
It's called abundance.
If you didn't give
It's called
me-
abundance,
if
Andy.
you didn't give me this money, this is what you could look like.
Yeah. And I'm out just getting mine and living my best life, which is something that kids are saying now. I'm living my best life.
While simultaneously living their worst life.
Yes, or giving money. And what do you think? These OnlyFans? You're just going to give money to OnlyFans? Why not give it to God?
What's the number one thing now where you look at it and you're like, oh man, I'm a different generation to these kids?
When the video game, people playing the video games, and then there's people watching them play the video games.
Yes,
That's where I'm a different.
absolutely. Yeah. Great
Because
example.
I'm not a video game guy. If I was but I'm not a video game guy at all. But I'm definitely not a video game guy who is watching another person play video games and somehow making money off of that.
I couldn't agree with you more. The other one for me is like just TikTok as an app.
Yeah,
makes me feel 90 years old.
Yeah.
Because it changes videos so fast. My brain can't keep up.
Yeah, it's not good
And I'm
for your
like,
brain.
wait, we're in another video already? I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just confused.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, man, the world is moving on.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is a serious thing, though. It's like they say that you should not do that first thing in the morning.
I do that.
Look at any of your apps
We
first
talk about
thing in the
stuff
morning
like that. Yeah. No, I do. I heard that. I'd have been doing it because it's just like a fire hydrant of emotion.
Yeah, it's bad for your brain.
Yeah.
Because it ruins your focus.
Do you know
you need to have focus in order to have a law degree and an engineering degree. Must have had some level of focus back then.
At some point, I think it's been eroded by time.
And eroded is a big word for our fans. Erosion.
Do you ever listen to? You ever heard of Andrew Huberman?
Yeah.
The guy,
the neuroscience.
Yeah. He talked about this. He was like, because your brain has it's like physiological therapy at sleep, where you're like reliving your emotional experiences during the day and like categorizing them in your brain. Your brain is like ordering itself,
right?
And that process continues after you wake up. But you're like interfering with it, by picking up a phone and just hammering yourself with stimulation.
I mean, that was a great point, but even halfway through it, I was thinking about cooking on TikTok.
Yeah,
and that's not what you're saying was very interesting, and you were making a great point, and you're very intelligent. But my mind was going to take the onions, cut the onions, put it in all these different, and you have to be a professional video editor in order to do that now.
Yeah,
so
it just comes at me too quickly.
Andy, we're winding up here, and I want to know why such a short time in the United States. Do you hate our freedom?
I just can't have too much of it, you know?
Yeah. It's an overload of freedom for you?
It's like if you don't do heroin, often.
Don't say junkie, dude, because it's not a phrase you should say anymore.
If you're drug compatible.
Yes. Better. So much better.
If you're drug compatible.
Yeah.
Or you haven't been drug compatible for a while.
Right.
You don't want to like give the full needle.
Yes.
Just got to have a couple of days. Just a little pick me up.
Thank you for having some injection sympathy.
And then going.
That's a new phrase.
It's coming out.
We're doctoring it up a little bit to make it positive for the listeners and the viewers, the people who have a computer.
I got kids. I got to get back to the kids. So.
You got to get back to the kids.
Yeah. And I'm on tour next week again. So.
Okay. So, how many kids do you? You had one when I knew.
I got two now.
You have two now?
2 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Busy.
Had 3, but we're back down to 2.
Back down to 2.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, man, and sharing your story with us and your high intelligence, your high level.
Good to see you, buddy.
And it's great to see you. And our fans appreciate it, even though they didn't understand probably most of us what we were talking about, because it was pretty high level. Thanks for coming on, Andy. That's Andy Curtin. And for Shannon, for Natalie, I'm Mike Vecchione. We'll see you guys next week.